right. So I believe I am recording. Um, so in this regard, we are starting off with the first problem of chapter 6. Does say an amendment to the annual budget for 2023 was approved, things of this nature. So we will be starting off with the street improvement bond here. Um, First, we'll start off with doing the estimated other financing sources, which is the premium of bond that they give to us in the problem, which is a 30,000. And then also mentions the 6250, which is the estimated revenues for accrued interest on bonds, estimated revenue accrued interest on bonds here. Also the estimated other financing sources, interfund transfers, right here, interfund transfers, and also the 1250. The combination of that would be our appropriations account, and it also mentions an appropriations in the amount of the one interest payment of 37,500. So that's where we pulled that first entry at. Moving on to the second entry, we have premium and accrued interest on bonds were received by the street improvement fund. Here we are going to be using the cash, which is basically what we are attaining, and then also we'll be using the other financing sources, which is our premium on bonds, which is the 30,000 that we have up here, as well as the interest on bonds payable, which is the 6,250, which is right here. Moving on to our third problem, we have the fund received an interfund transfer of 1250, 1250, and then also mentioning here we have the 6250. So for the third entry, we're going to be doing the bond interest with the expenditures first with the cash payment, as it is mentioned in the problem, as well as the cash and the interfund transfers in for the 1250 of the in the problem. The fund received an interfund transfer of 1250 from the general fund. So that's what we are putting in here. We are also addressing the governmental activities as well. And we go down here, we are doing the expenses account for the interest on long-term debt, which was the 37,269. Then we're doing the premium on deferred serial bonds payable, which is the 231. And then we're also doing the 37,500, which is the total amount there. Moving on to the fourth entry, we will not be doing anything for the street improvement fund, only for the governmental activities. So going here, it says make the required journal entry in the governmental activities to accrue 6 months of interest. So we go ahead. Here we have the 30 with the interest on long-term debt, which is 37,267. And then also it mentions in the problem the 233 of premium on deferred serial bonds payable. And then also we're using the accrued interest payable on long-term debt here. And then after we are doing that, we go ahead and we go back to our street improvement fund where we're doing back our closing entries, which is our appropriations account, which is what we have up here. Credited, we debit down here, 37,500. Estimated other financing sources, 1250. Estimated other finances, 1250 here. Also, we also have accrued interest on bonds payable. We have that debited towards the top here on estimated revenues. This is estimated other sources here. We have that up here as well. And then we also have revenues accrued interest, 62 right here, 50 right there. We have other financing sources, which is premium on bonds. So we have that right here, 30,000. We have the 1250 from the interfund transfers in, right here, credit to debit. And the expenditures is the bond interest, which is the total 37,500, which is the bond interest, which is 37,500 right here. Also, we are pulling the pre-closing from the export factor of the program in Smithville, as well as addressing the statement of revenues from our textbook. Same formatting, pulling these numbers, putting them in there, as well as the schedule of revenues. And then also budget with the actual over budget or differences here. There was no differences in these numbers, so we won't see a difference in the actual over under. And then also the legal debt margin that we have here in the information calculation we have here.